Why does location matter so much when you're planting vines in Ireland? Surely it's all cold, wet and unpredictable, right? Well, yes and no. Ireland is cool and wet, but we also have incredible variation from one field to the next. And that's what cool climate viticulture is all about. Finding those small advantages that make the difference between grapes that ripen and grapes that don't. When we started looking for land, we knew we needed to think like wine growers, not just farmers. We're at 53 degrees north, which means long daylight hours in summer and slow, gentle ripening. But that also means late frosts, short autumns, and a real need to understand our microclimate. Offaly may not sound like wine country, but being inland has its advantages. We're sheltered from the harsh coastal winds, and we get slightly warmer summer days compared with coastal counties. That gives us more heat accumulation, what viticulturists call degree days, and that's gold dust for ripening grapes. Of course, we still have to manage rainfall, frost and drainage. But by choosing the right place, slightly elevated, gently sloping and with good airflow, we can tip the odds in our favour. That's why, even here in Ireland, where you plant your vines matters just as much as how you farm them. Next, we'll dig into what's happening beneath our feet, because healthy vines start underground. In Ireland, the first thing people worry about when they hear vineyard is the rain. And to be fair, they're right. Our climate means drainage isn't just important, it's absolutely critical. Healthy vines start underground. If the soil is too heavy or waterlogged, the vines struggle to breed. Roots suffocate, disease sets in, and yields collapse before you've even begun. When we started planning Irish wine estates here in Offaly, one of the first things we did was plough the entire farm. We wanted to see the soil structure for ourselves, how deep the topsoil was, how quickly water drained through it, and what the subsoil looked like. Ideally, you want a well-structured loam over a free-draining base, something with enough clay to hold moisture, but enough gravel or limestone to let excess water escape. You can't change the weather, but you can choose soil that handles it well. We also looked at pH, organic matter and compaction. Vines prefer a neutral to slightly alkaline soil, and that's something we're lucky with here in Offaly. But even then, good drainage channels and healthy soil biology are the real insurance policy. In a cool, wet climate, roots need oxygen more than anything else. Get that right and the rest, nutrition, vigour, balance, all follow naturally. So in Ireland, when it comes to vineyard site selection, don't just look at the surface. Look deep, literally, because that's where the future of your vines begins. Next, we'll look above ground, at altitude, aspect and shelter, and why these three are the real holy trinity of Irish vineyard planning. When it comes to choosing a vineyard site in Ireland, there are three things you can't change once you start planting: altitude, aspect and shelter. I call them the Irish Trinity of vineyard planning. Let's start with altitude. Here in Offaly, we're not chasing mountains, we're chasing moderation. Too low and you risk frost sitting in the hollows on calm spring mornings. too high, and your grapes may never ripen in time. We found that gentle ground between 85 and 95 metres above sea level gives just enough air movement for frost drainage, but still holds the warmth you need for ripening. Next comes aspect, the direction your vines face. In a cool climate, sunlight is your most valuable resource. South and southeast facing slopes catch the morning sun, dry dew quickly, and give vines a little extra warmth during the day. It might not sound like much, but these few degrees of extra temperature and those extra hours of light can make or break a vintage in a marginal climate like ours. And finally, shelter. Ireland's wind can undo all your good work if you don't plan for it. Our prevailing westerlies can strip warmth and moisture right off the vines. That's why we've kept natural hedgerows and are considering adding shelter belts. They create a calmer microclimate where vines can thrive without stress. So when you're planning a vineyard in Ireland, remember, you can't control the weather, but you can choose how exposed you are to it. Get altitude, aspect and shelter working together, and you give your vines the very best chance. Next, we'll pull everything together. How we turned these principles into a real farm diversification plan here at Irish Wine Estates. By this point, you've heard me talk about soil, slope, altitude, aspect and shelter. But in the end, site selection isn't just a technical checklist. It's about turning those principles into a real working farm plan. When we first started looking for a site, we spent months staring at maps, rainfall data, soil surveys, elevation models. That helped narrow things down. But a vineyard isn't built on paper. You have to walk the land. You have to feel where the cold air settles and where the soil stays dry after heavy rain. That's when the picture really starts to form. For us, it came down to practicality as much as passion. We wanted a site that worked as part of a truly integrated farm. Something that could produce, process and sell directly. Vines are a crop, but wine is an enterprise. And by adding value here on the farm and selling directly to our customers, we control our own future instead of depending on commodity markets or supermarkets. So this vineyard wasn't chosen just because it looked right on a sunny day. It was chosen because it fits the landscape, the business model, and the vision of what Irish farming can become. Independent, adaptable, and connected directly to the people who enjoy what we produce. That's the foundation of Irish Wine Estates. Thoughtful farming, rooted in good land and built for the long term. Thanks for watching this series on site selection. Our next series will explore what comes next. Choosing the right vines and rootstocks for the Irish climate. I'm Stephen White and this is Irish Wine Estates. Our insane journey to build an Irish wine estate.